So, AJ Dubois, the fallouts, what happened? Well, I don't know what any of you guys think, but for me, talking about a rematch is absolutely nuts. AJ was the challenger, Dubois was the champion. AJ got beat up straight for 5 rounds. He had one good shot, which, by the way, about 2 seconds later, he was knocked out from. Like, rematch? What are we talking about, a rematch? I find it nuts. Like, I think just because of Anthony Joshua's name, like, people want him to be champion because he's got the presence of a champion. He's got the looks. He's got the following. He's got the, media training. People want him to be champion. But rematch talk is nuts to me. Like, you look at AJ, he's been, I mean, not fortunate because the game's the game, right? But he's been very fortunate to have some of his rematches, For me, a rematch should only be there if the fight is close, if it's a draw, if it's a split decision, or if, the champion loses closely, yeah, give it a rematch. But what are we talking about a rematch when you've been beaten up for 5 rounds? Look, let's go back in his career. He got beat up by Andy Ruiz. He got the rematch. It wasn't really a close fight. Arguably didn't deserve the rematch there. I mean, obviously he won the rematch, but you've got to take into consideration Andy Ruiz was out of shape. All he'd done was party and drink since he'd won his belt, came in really overweight. Look, obviously I do give AJ credit for that win because coming over his mental demons to get back into the ring against the guy who beat you up, I think you deserve lots of credit just for the balls, the bravery of getting back in the ring. But, he was fortunate to get the rematch because it wasn't really a close fight. If that's Tyson Fury in Andy Ruiz's position, he's not taking that rematch. Look at what Tyson Fury did with Vladimir Klitschko. Like, he just got the belts and he ran away. Like, Vladimir Klitschko was up for that rematch. And I'm sure he would have made some adjustments, but, Tyson Fury was like, no, you're not having a rematch. I'm off, mate. Look, to his defense, of course, Tyson Fury was going through some mental health struggles, but I just think AJ's been a little bit fortunate to get all these rematches with guys who've beat him quite soundly. Look at Usyk, like, beating soundly that first fight, He was nearly, he was out on his feet at the end of the 12th round, and then he gets a rematch, which he did a little bit better, but obviously still didn't win. So, yeah, I thought the first thing I'd just say is this rematch talk is nuts to me. The second thing I was wondering about is who needs to take responsibility for this loss, Obviously, AJ, I'm sure, is going to take responsibility. He came out in the first minute. He was all wrong. His chin was out. His hands were in the wrong place. Lennox Lewis apparently said it to Steve Bunce. Like, he could tell from just the way he walked out that things weren't right with AJ. And that's, pretty unacceptable. Like, you're not buzzed. You should be pretty switched on in the first 10 seconds of a fight. And he wasn't right even then. I mean, I can forgive AJ for, not having the right technique or putting your hands in the right places, after the first knockdown. Because I think your head's all over the place. Like, you're probably concussed. You're fighting on just pure instinct, I'll be surprised if AJ remembers that fight. Like, he took a beating. Getting back to my original point, how much responsibility does Ben Davidson take? Because, the first 10 seconds, he comes out looking terrible. And Shane McGuigan, I'll play the clip now.
While he makes the long walk across the ring to the blue corner, left listening to Ben Davidson, giving instructions to Anthony Joshua.
That's what it's about, we get through this. Warrior spirit. 100%. But we got to be smart.
Yeah, I am.
We rush stepping in with the jab almost every time, unless you're galloping around. Slip and bring it up. Yeah?
If there's a bit of a lull, in behind that double jab, bring it up, roll the dice. He'll double another right hand, lift it, yeah?
Roll the dice.
Roll that dice.
Double in his eyes, bring it
I think that's dangerous advice there, to be honest. I mean, getting him to bring it up off the double jab. Daniel throws that right hand straight off that double jab. And by bringing it up, he means an uppercut. He's going to walk himself straight onto his short right hand. If you ask me, I'd just say keep your hands up tight, get through these next 2 rounds, and then use your athleticism late down the stretch.
He predicted the outcome. He heard Ben Davidson's corner talk and said, no, he shouldn't be doing that. He said, just cover up for a few rounds, which I think was, obviously everything's easier to say in retrospect, but I think that would have been the better technique. Cover up for a few rounds. Ugly as anything, clinch, even just get some points taken off for clinching too much. Just get your breath back, because, the right hand that AJ threw just before he got knocked out showed that, he was capable of a second win, but I think he was just trying it too early. I mean, look, obviously I do respect AJ because he went out on his shield and he listened to his trainer, right? His trainer was telling him, try and find him with the uppercut, and I think AJ was just so hurt that, you know, he knew he wasn't going to go 12 rounds. He was just like, I've just got to get Dubois out of here this round. So, of course, it's a difficult thing to do. But when you see, like, another head coach, you know, like, predict exactly what's going to happen, it does make you wonder, like, how good is Ben Davidson? Or, you know, I'm not saying he's not a good coach, because obviously he's one of the top coaches in England, but does he need to take some responsibility for this fight? Because as much as everyone sort of glorifies Ben Davidson for being, you know, an incredible, you know, video analyst, great with self-confidence, he's had a few fights now where he's not got the game plan right. Look, I take Lee Wood for an example. His fight with Mickey Conlon, obviously he won, but he was dropped heavy in the first round. He lost a load of rounds, and he only, you know, it was really only his power that got him to win. You know, he got the knockout in the last 12 seconds of the round. And it was quite similar in the Josh Warrington fight. Josh Warrington was outboxing him, and then Lee Wood had to just rely on his power to, you know, knock him out and get him out of there. So, yeah, as I said, I do think Ben Davidson he needs to take a bit of responsibility, you know, for not getting the game plan right. And should AJ link up with Shane McGuigan? Like, I think that's like, he's worked with so many coaches, right? I don't think he's worked with Shane McGuigan yet. I mean, I suppose in terms of heavyweights, I don't know if Shane has the greatest track record. He trained David Haye for the Tony Bellew fights, I believe. But obviously, David Haye lost. But the injuries he had going into both fights were crazy, right? And obviously, Danny Dubois, he did it right with Danny Dubois. I'm not quite sure when he started training him and stopped training him. But it was the Lorena fight, I think, was his last fight with Shane, where he got dropped 3 times but then won. And then went on to Don Charles. Obviously, Shane got that good win over... They went to America and got that good win, didn't they? Is Shane McGuigan the last trainer, the last hope for AJ? You know, the last sort of real big trainer AJ hasn't fought with? I don't know, because Shane's style, he does a lot of pad work, right? So I'm not sure how willing Shane would be to take on another big guy, just because, like, taking all those shots on pads, like, it's had a real impact on his body. I don't know if anybody watched the documentary he did with the BBC, but, you know, Shane's had to have, you know, loads of chiropractors and stuff just to, you know, restore his body from taking those punches from Daniel Dubois. But yeah, just an interesting point, really. You know, Shane was able to see what Ben Davidson couldn't. I think the last point I'll make is I've been a believer that Tyson Fury can have success in the rematch against Usyk if he stops, you know, fannying about with the showboating, uses his size, uses his power, tries to knock him out. I think Tyson Fury could have success. But I'm quite concerned about Tyson Fury after seeing his appearance at Dubois versus AJ. G-Man made quite an interesting comment that he's wearing a black t-shirt, which often you wear if you're trying to hide that you're a little bit out of shape. And he hasn't taken responsibility for his loss. You know, he was still saying things like, oh, I've got to knock him out because I'm never going to get the decision because they're biased to the Ukrainian because there's a war going on. He still seemed to think he won that fight, which is beyond me. I mean, I'm no fighter, but surely the first step to, you know, coming back from a loss is taking responsibility, looking at what you didn't do and what you could have done. You know, look at Usyk. He won the fight. He's just, you know, he should become an undisputed heavyweight champion. And he's still saying, no, look, I can make improvements. That's the mindset of a champion, right? And he was in quite a bad mood with the interviews he did, you know, on like the stomping ground. He was clearly a bit all over the place. So I'm definitely concerned that he might have started drinking again and, you know, he's put the weight on a little bit. So, yeah, I'm not feeling confident about the rematch, you know. I think Usyk could knock him out, realistically. Yeah, these interviews haven't given me confidence. It's not a Tyson Fury in shape, you know, speaking coherently, fluently, taking responsibility, you know, not making eye contact with people. You can't see the confidence in his eyes. So yeah, I just thought I'd make the final point on Tyson Fury versus Usyk 2. Again, another fight where rematch, really? Like, no, actually, I think it's a bit more understandable for this one because it was close. I mean, Usyk still won convincingly, but it was close. But you can kind of see a rematch because you can see the improvements Fury can make. So I kind of get a rematch of this one, but I mean, look at Usyk's resume. Like, that guy has not had any easy fights. Chisora, AJ twice, Dubois, Fury, and that's just at heavyweight. Like, It's crazy to think, isn't it? Arguably Chisora did the best out of all those guys. Obviously, Usyk had only just come up to heavyweight, but yeah, I think I just finished the video by saying Usyk, you know, he's the GOAT. He's the heavyweight king of this division, of this era. No one does it like him. And I think if he beats Tyson Fury again, retire, walk off, like, and you know, like Andre Ward did, sail off into the sunset. You know, you've never been knocked out. I think he got dropped in the amateurs by Beterbiev, but hasn't really been dropped. I'm sure he would have taken, obviously, some damage from the sparring and from the fights, but relatively in good health. So yeah, I just thought I'd finish the video by giving some credit to Usyk. Next for Dubois and AJ. I think Dubois Fury makes sense if Fury wins. Or there's, you know, Parker, Caballero, Bacoli, Zhang. If Joshua goes again, I don't think he should go anywhere near that rematch. I think Joyce, I'm not against the Joyce. I think Joyce makes sense. White, maybe. Someone you can beat, you know, so you can go out on a win. Joyce or White. I'm not sure you want to go near Zhang or Bacoli. Even Parker, I think, might run rings around you. But Parker, I suppose, doesn't have the power. But even Parker's put on weight recently. He said that he was putting on weight because he thought that was the only disadvantage he had. So, yeah, as I said, no real easy fights for AJ out there. But, yeah, leave me your thoughts in the comments down below. Who should both guys fight next? Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.